I want to talk about some biblical in the earth type imagery and speaking on the other day my mom brought up a great freaking point. She said that I was like, dude, you need to check out that book of Enoch. You need to check out that second Ezra. Just audiobooks. I was telling her about it. So finally she did. And she was really taken aback by it because it talks about like basically things like purgatory, Sheol, Tartarus. Jesus goes down 3 days into earth and comes back. I mean, these principles are in the Bible, but yet for some reason people tend to overlook at them and look at, oh, that's just old school, fanciful metaphor for something else, for dying or whatever. But it's really not. It's deeper than that. And literally, it's deeper than that. Deep underground military bases than that. Deeper. So, for instance, I mean, and then you look at all these ancient cultures and they talk about the ground people. They talk about the dwarfs that mine. They talk about all kinds of weird stuff, man. The dead being in the earth, down in the underworld. The Mayans talked about that a lot, but this is an awesome connection. My mom says that in Enoch, God was like, he took some of the angels far, far, far to the north and imprisoned them there under the earth. And guess what's far, far, far to the north? Antarctica. Guess what's going on in Antarctica? All of a sudden, world leaders and world political religio leaders have been going there. And suppose there's something called Hyperborea up there, and that was the Nazis. Operation Fishbowl, Operation High Jump. These are some of the correlated topics. So she said, so did God say that he took the fallen angels to the far north and put them underground, and that's where the Nazis said they went to meet the Aryans, the Nordic alien types that a lot of people are so fond of, the light worker types, say they see these Sananda, Maitreya, glowing beings, when in the Bible it says even Satan can masquerade himself as an angel of light. So, as his servants can pretend to be servants of righteousness. Isn't there a lot of those out here these days? And it's really, yeah, it's truly masquerading. There is so much masquerading going on these days. It's sickening. Let every man be a liar and let God be the truth. You know, how easy is it to say now? You know what I'm saying? With to put your pride aside, and how much easier it really is just to accept that. And then accept the reasons why people are doing these effed up things that they're doing. Well, they're hiding something from us that God warned us about. Again, in that book, Enoch, it says right in it that this book is not written for this generation, and this generation was way back towards the beginning. And it says this is for the generation of the great tribulation. You know what I'm saying? The great and terrible day of the Lord. And when all the things that were written and all the prophecies, it's time for them to be fulfilled. And we find ourselves standing right on the edge of this day. I mean, them shall persecute you, they shall deliver you up. We're right there, dude. And it's like no one else really knows it. Like they know it, but they don't know it like that. Not like others of us know it. I think the Dead Sea Scrolls in 1947, a cave popped open and they found them in there hidden. And the book of Enoch was in there. And so it proves that it was an original text with the scriptures. So there's a big reason why the book of Enoch is rejected as a real scripture. And it's not because of Christians. It actually reads a lot like a Christian doctrine, because it says that the Son of God is going to come and reconcile. God's going to show people that he loves them. This is to confirm the things that we already knew, because he must have known we was always gonna have for a while was that King James. But these other scriptures were gonna come again because they were hidden in the earth. They were hidden not to keep us in the dark. They were hidden to keep the enemy guessing, and then eventually to reveal to us whether our understanding be real or not, if it's in the true, if it's accurate or not. So you can look into that book of Enoch if you wish, and it tells you about spiritual things, about angelic things, about the purpose behind everything that has ever happened, and about how spiritual matters work, how there are angels in the wind, there are angels in the water, there are angels in the ground, there are angels in space that look like stars. There's all these different things that we've been dumbed down to, and we just been so scientifically dumbed down that it's, once again, here's a witchcraft, your psychology witchcraft. It's convincing you one thing is another when it's actually another. That's what they've done with science as well. Science, psychology, it's witchcraft. When it's used neutrally, it's not. But when it's used to deceive, it becomes witchcraft. Does that make sense? Just like psychology. Psychology used without no ulterior motives is good. But when you use psychology for reverse psychology, for swaying someone's thinking more towards because you, the psychologist, think your way of thinking is correct. So you try to sway these people you don't understand why they think like that, and try to convince them to think more like you. And that's another subtle form of witchcraft. But anyway, you can check into that Hollow Earth, Hyperbolia, the Vril Society, the hidden Nazi subarctic or sub-Antarctica bases and all this stuff. I mean, Enoch, that the angels were hidden far in the north and away from people. No one's allowed there in Antarctica. And supposedly there's a big giant hole that leads into a center of the earth, which has its own climate. Like, it's not as like they show you in movies. Even though there may be parts of it that do look like what we see in caves, but this supposedly is different. But I'm no expert on this. It's just, the longer you live, the more you learn. You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot more going on here, and we're a lot more dumbed down than we are enlightened. These people think they got enlightenment, but they don't even know jack shizzle. So how in the frick can you be enlightened when you don't know jack shizzle about shizzle? And then when someone be like, hey, doesn't this information right here corroborate these informations? No, I don't see the correlation. It's like, that's the way people be acting sometimes. And it's like, even people like me, as ghetto as I am, and hillbilly, poor, whatever you want to call it, I should know about all these things. You know what I'm saying? So it proves you don't have to be a freaking rocket science working for the Operation Paperclip Nazis from NASA to have an understanding of these things. You don't need to be a rocket science physicist from Operation Paperclip to understand these things. You can be a Christ professing believer in the gospel, and you could still believe in these things. And it's like, look, if you truly are that, you should believe in these things because they're stated in the word as well. It's like people deny the power thereof. They take all the humanistic parables and lessons out of it, but then exclude all the angelics, all the miraculous resurrections, all the God showing signs in the heavens, holding back the waters, making a bunch of people fall asleep, let one person escape. They deny all these things because it's like their faith isn't as strong as they pretend, or it wouldn't be such a big jump. You know what I'm saying? To believe these things when they really have. There's two guys. It's like in the Bible when it says they will preach a different gospel. That's it. It's the humanistic gospel that Jesus was just a non-marital baby. What is that called when you're not born under marriage? It's not really a bastard. A true definition of what a bastard really is, what God meant it as. It was the unsanctioned children of the fallen angels, the watchers, and women. That's what really a bastard is. You know what I'm saying? And it's someone who's out of covenant is really more like an orphan, because you can call on God, Abba, Father, and he will accept you in the spirit of adoption. But these other things that people won't admit existed, or exist even maybe now, but yet we just haven't been made aware of it like totally yet. We haven't seen one fall out the sky and land in the yard and look, I am this or whatever. We haven't, just because we ain't seen that yet, but we see all kinds of strange anomalous things going on in the sky. But I can't admit that could be some kind of deception, because the false prophet is supposed to be able to make fire come down on the sight of men. But Elijah could do that too. So that's the thing. But the message is, try the Spirit. Does the Spirit admit that Christ came in the flesh, died, and was resurrected in 3 days? Will they admit that? If they can't, well, that spirit's not from God. It's another spirit. It's maybe that God of forces, the strange God from Daniel. And here's another thing too. You know, like people say there is no ghost. There's no such thing as ghosts. I mean, to some extent, could be true. But what I've noticed, I was watching a video the other day about, and it was showing in an abandoned prison, a place where lots of innocent blood was spilled. It says the blood thereof defile the land, and the force thereof is not right. Like in England, they used to knock over these things called fairy mounds, and then they build a castle on top of it so the magicians could utilize and tap into that geomagnetic, whatever, spirit force energy. It's just like building a house on an Indian burial ground. We've already had a movie about that here in America. It's called Poltergeist. So there is something going on here where portals or gateways or something to dark residual forces linger around places where there was great tragedy, great emotional pain, great physical pain, great murders, innocent blood spill, slavery, a place of utter of hell on earth. And look, even though the atrocities stop, yet the energy is still going on there, and those are good examples of that. So there isn't a component to ghosts, but are they really spirits or GB, which mean ghosts of people, or are they spirits like Manitou, like entities that were never born in a physical body, like angels and jinn and other spirits? Like there's a whole host of different kinds of spirits. Like there's all kinds of different kinds of spirits, and I think we are really dumbed down to that. It's like the kingdom of the ants or of the insects. Look how many of them there is. What if that's more like the heaven thing? There's more of them. Like there is ants. Like they're everywhere. You can't just because you can't see them in this plane doesn't mean that they're not there. And sometimes I feel like they can affect things on this plane, even though they're not in it at this moment. But you can see it's kind of like a field around something, that you see the field, but not what's inside of it generating a field. You know what I mean? It's kind of strange. And I've been noticing this too, since these skies lately. I've been noticing orbs in the sky, and I've noticed things that can write and move the clouds around and change them. And they're like little orbs. I've seen silver orbs that shine from the sun. I've seen greenish looking orbs. And I've also seen like the clouds move in ways that is impossible. So I don't know, maybe they did go to Hyperborea, and now the things that were there in the hollow earth are free to roam the skies now and manipulate our earth. It's real crazy right now. It's like literally, it's like the times of Noah right now. It literally is the times of Noah and the times of Lot, man. Because because the iniquity shall abound, the hearts of many have waxed cold. I mean, listen, I ain't even playing. I don't even know what the percentage of people who haven't waxed cold is. It's low. It's very low. There's only a few people out here who haven't already given themselves over to that, to the spirit of Sodom and Gomorrah, which wasn't just sex. It was about being very inconsiderate of your neighbors and strangers and treating them like shit, or like being mean to the poor. and starving people to death.